What's up? What's up? What's up? How's everyone doing out there? I hope everyone is doing good. Staying out of trouble, enjoying life, enjoying family. And pues welcome back to the channel, man. Welcome back to the canal. And we appreciate you. We appreciate you still staying tuned, still listening, still watching. And with that being said, pues let's get into this one, man. On today's episode, I'm gonna touch on a subject that many might not want to hear, and I completely understand. I myself would like to apologize for my part in the sales and distribution of heavy narcotics in my community, in my area. Um, I see now the wrong I did and brought two of my closest friends and family and homeboys around me. I personally never used heavy narcotics myself. I was taught heavy drugs can get you caught up in a bad situation. They were only meant, to be sold, to make money off of. Um, I didn't know what I know now, and um, I feel responsible for bringing methamphetamine, to my community, to people around me. I never forced anybody. You know, some of my friends and close relatives became addicted due to the fact that maybe I had it around all the time and I was giving it away for free to some of my people instead of them having to pay for it when we were hanging around or when we went out to do, activities, camping and Vegas and shit like that, instead of having them pay for the habit here, don't even trip. I know you guys enjoy the high. Here we go. And I guess I know I did wrong by doing that, enabling them to become more addicted to it instead of telling them we don't need that shit. Let's have fun without it. You know, I understand that. So, for my part, I want to apologize, to my community and to people out there in general, man. You know, um, I was just trying to make a living off of it. I was taught younger through an older cousin of mine that he was doing his thing in my neighborhood. He was, when you call somebody in your neighborhood, same thing with my cousin. He was doing his thing, and he influenced a few of us. You know, not that he put us to work or he told us to do things. He influenced us in the fact that he was doing his thing. He was 18, 19. He was driving a 92 top of the line model car, and it was only in 1996. And he had paid for it through the streets. He was well known in the streets. Um, so he was doing his thing at a young age. So many of us were influenced just by hearing about him and watching the way he operated and moved. So I remember one day he invited me to the bridge, just to chop it up, to talk. I guess he was already seeing that I was, getting into things. So he invited me, went to the bridge. I went a little early, thinking I'm gonna be there early. But when I got there, he was already there, which is cool, man. I walked over there, shook his hand, what's up, how you doing, small talk in general, how you doing, how you been, how's life, how's school, blah blah. How's my parents, 'cause he's my cousin. He was, how's my uncles and shit like that. At that time, I had just had a daughter. I was a recent father. So he asked me how my young daughter was doing. I told him she was doing great. He broke down some. He wasn't a father himself, but he broke down some things. He told me always take care of your kids, always make sure that they're doing good. Be a good dad. Also told me always to make sure that that your parents are doing good. Look out for them. So after the small talk, we started talking about, well, he brought up the street life. So I guess he probably saw that I was getting into things. So he started talking about a few things. He started telling me that not everybody in the neighborhood is a homie. Not everybody in the neighborhood is trustworthy. You just can't go and do work with anybody because then they know your business. You know, you gotta be careful when you're out there doing things. In so many words, he explained to me. Um, he showed me a Chrome 45, a nickel plated 45. He told me this is how we protect ourselves. He showed me an old film container. It was full of crack, and he told me this is how we eat. You know, he briefly explained to me about the tacateros, about what him and a few other older homies at that time were doing. I didn't quite knew the full extent of the business till I got into the neighborhood, and then I was involved myself, but that was later on. For the most part, he explained to me about how he was, whatever he was doing with the tacateros and shit like that. And that was about it. After that, my cousin, he passed away. So a few months later on, he passed away. So later on down the line, I joined. And I got myself involved in the tacateros, and then I started seeing that you can make money off of the streets. My cousin, rest in peace, had shown me, or I saw just by observing that he was driving a vehicle, he had guns, so you could purchase and have things through the streets, and you could acquire things, material things, through the sales, through just entrepreneuring in the streets, just out there hustling. So when I got myself in the neighborhood and got myself involved in the tacateros and taxing, I learned more. Got more comfortable with the game. I learned more, and I just became more in tune with the aggressiveness of being a hustler. Because we're in the 90s, we're in the crack game. So after that, some of us were trying out, experimenting with P Dogs, Cocoa Pubs, Primes. P Dogs, Primes is weed with crack. Cocoa Puffs is cigarette with crack, nicotine with crack. So some of us learn, you can't get. Some of us learn and doing heavy drugs could get you caught up in a bad situation. So we snapped out of that shit. But some of us learned that we had weak minds. And later on, when we got into the meth business and meth was around us, some of us fell into the addiction because of the weak mind that we had. Like I said, me myself, I never was a heavy user of drugs. I smoke weed, I've always have, and that's about it. When I was younger, I experimented, tried out primes, did a little acid, but that was about it. Besides that, I was addicted to making money, man, and that was my thing. Um, I didn't realize that by me having meth around me and all these drugs around me, and me offering offering them up to my friends to either sell or just for free, I was doing wrong. Some of my friends were trying to make money, but at the same time, some of them were using it, and they fell more into the addiction. And instead of realizing it and helping them out, trying to get out of it, I, gave them more so they could try to see if they could sell and things like that. But they were using more than selling. So I did more wrong than good. I have close relatives of mine that fell into the addiction more, close friends of mine, and now I look back and I see I did wrong in my community, not just to the people that I didn't know, but people who I knew, for having it around me, just trying to make a living off of it, trying to eat off of it. I was actually doing wrong. I was making a living off of it. I was eating. I was doing good off of it, but other people around me were falling into addiction, and for me, I look back at it and I see I did wrong. I see these young people now stuck in a cycle of addiction. I see I did my part in that. I did wrong by being part of that, by being in the sales of drugs. Um, I look at it now and it's like, damn, I could have always had a 9 to 5, but I was stuck thinking that I was doing something, feeding myself, feeding my kids, buying material things, taking vacations, you know, giving money to my kids. You know, we lived off of that, you know, um, jewelry, cars, you know, I mean, endless dinners, vacations, just all kinds of stuff, you know. And I see now that I was stuck, blinded by the greed of money, the addiction of money, the addiction of the hustle, you know. And I'm grateful now that my closest friends and my closest relatives were they're they're not living that life anymore. They're past that. You know, they beat that addiction, you know. So I'm grateful, I'm glad. But still, when I see these young people out there, I think to myself, hey, you know, I fucked up for being involved with that. There was other ways that I make money, but I was stuck in my way of hustling, my way of thinking, hey, you know, I'll make money off of drugs. This is what I've been doing since my teens. And this is what I'm gonna continue doing. Until one day, I just decided that, you know, it was time for me to walk away. Um, to me, it was like, I'm gonna walk away now. I've had enough, and I'm good. Walk away now before, you know, before I'm forced. You know, so either do it on your own, or you're forced one day by the law, or whatever, right? So, but I look back at that shit now, and I see, yeah, man, I did wrong. You know, I used to have friends around me, homeboys around me that were with me 24/7, and then they would always ask, let me get a little bump, let me get a little something, let me get a little dub, you know. And as time went by, they wouldn't even ask. I would just give them, here, fool. Here's a gram, fool. Here's a fucking T. Here's a dub. Here's a 40, you know. So instead of giving them cash or giving them other stuff, I was already getting used to just here's handing them stuff. So, you know, I look back and I say I did wrong, man. I wasn't trying to do wrong. I wasn't, trying to make anybody fall into the addiction more. But I see now and it's like, yeah, I did wrong by, by just handing them the product for free, by just having it around all the time at, at a, by not having no limit, but just hand this shit to people. Here, don't even trade, fool. Here's a fucking grand. Don't even worry about it, fool. Here's a tea, fool. Here's a fucking, don't even trade, fool. You owe me a half. Don't even worry about it, fool. Just pay me half. And I should have just, you know, um, saw for what it was, and not probably did business with them anymore. I guess I want to say, sounds wrong, but at the time of the moment, I should have saw for what it was, and not done business with them, so they wouldn't fall more into the addiction. But at the same time, I myself should have not just got involved in the drug business, basically, So I'm grateful now that we're all different and we're all out, but I just can't help but feel, some type of way when I drive around and see people out there, older, younger, just in the addiction cycle. It makes me feel like fuck. I was part of that. I wasn't addicted, but I was part of, distributing drugs or however you want to say it. Man, I just, wanted to touch on this subject real quick. Addiction can be anything, man. Making money. Addicted to weed, addicted to crack, addicted to life, addicted to food, and man, addicted to air. Addiction could be anything, man. So, what it is, man. With that being said, I hope everyone is doing good. Um, I hope you guys are doing great, having a good day, and well, stay tuned, man.